Hi, everyone. Welcome to our ALF training webinar from myalftraining.com and careassociation.org, the Association for Quality Assisted Living. On the webinar today with me is my beautiful wife, Cheryl. Cheryl,
Hello.
how are you?
Good, thank you.
And I appreciate you fitting one in with your busy schedule. So today, it's a little cooler today, isn't it? I think we're maybe out of summer weeds.
I haven't left the office.
Okay.
So apparently you have.
Okay. Yeah, I was outside chit-chatting a little bit. Well, let's get right to it. Today we're doing a webinar, ECC facility, and I'm going to make sure you can see our screen. So
Yes.
these are all the citations. Can you see them all?
Yes.
Okay. You want to go ahead and get started, Cheryl?
Now you start this first one.
Okay, so on an unannounced relicensure survey with an ECC facility was conducted on January 27th. The facility had deficiencies found at the time of the visit. Okay. The first tag was admissions, health assessment. Based on record review and interview, the assisted living facility failed to record a resident's medical diagnosis on an agency healthcare administration form 1823 for one out of the two sampled residents' records reviewed. So the facility failed to record residents' well, obviously the healthcare provider.
Doctor. Read down.
Okay. The findings include record review of resident number 2 form revealed an admission date of April 26, 2013, and his last medical exam dated 12/2014. Further review of resident 2's file found no medical diagnosis documented on ACA's form 1823. In an interview conducted with the administrator, stated it is difficult getting through to resident number 2's doctor's office. She stated she does not know why resident 2's diagnosis was not documented. The administrator acknowledged the finding and stated no further documentation was available for review. Class 3 violation.
Right. What they could have done differently, I guess. Well, it doesn't seem like she wasn't even aware this wasn't on there, the administrator, but if you are aware that it's on there, that the information is missing, you can't get through to the doctors, I would document it. What, Calais?
Yep, I'm here.
There's some weird noise.
Oh.
Now it's
How
gone.
about this gone? Okay.
Yeah. I would document
it, right?
Oh, on 10-2, called doctor's office, couldn't get through. 10-3, called doctor's office, got the blow off. 10-3, called the family, make a nice paper trail of what's going on. Yeah, it is hard to get information from the doctors after the fact.
Past, I did have a resident in the past where the doctor said that I picked up the 1823 from their office, and on it, none of it was filled out, and it said, our doctor's office has a policy of not completing these forms.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That was, so you're going to run into some difficult ones, but the key here is
get it before they move in. Make it a requirement to the family. We won't accept your mom or dad without this form completely filled out. And guess what? They move on it pretty quickly, and we usually get it. Well, we always get it, but we learned our lesson.
Once they're in, that clock is ticking 30 days, tick tock, and nobody cares. Nobody cares except for you. So when they care is when they need to move their mom and dad in, and if they're calling the doctor, they're the customer, they're gonna get a response.
I guess another thing you can do is take it down there and just stand there with it. Stalk them a little bit. But actually, reading through this survey, I just don't think these people were even aware that.
Yeah, they didn't read it.
Yeah, it was missing.
So I guess you know what I would say. It's not just get it before, but also make sure that it's all filled out properly.
Right when you received it. Correct.
Yeah. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll actually leave that part blank, and then they'll include their office documentation that already has all of it. So technically, all it would need to say, Cheryl, if I'm not mistaken, wouldn't it just say see attached medical history?
Correct.
Right. And in this situation, that may have happened. Maybe they just didn't put see attached, or maybe the doctor intended to include it or attach it, but they just never did. But
Correct.
if it's, does it happen twice? It was on two of their.
But-
Oh, that's the second. That's the second person. Got it. Okay.
Right. Okay. There's a few, quite a few tags.
Okay.
on each facility.
Next one down is
Medication.
during medication pass. Did we miss the tag? Where's the tag? Oh, here it is. Based on observation and interview, the facility failed to follow the proper procedures for providing assistance with self-administration of medication for one out of the two residents. The tag is 52, medication assistance with self-administration.
Okay. This one is lack of training.
Okay, you want to read this one?
Sure.
Okay.
So the unlicensed staff was assisting resident number 2 with medication, and the staff member did not, well, first of all, she did not sanitize her hands inside the medication, and she signed the medication observation sheet before observing the resident swallowing his or her medications. She also, staff A also put the resident's medication in a cup, walked over to the dining table, set the medication cup down, and a full bottle of medications, and walked off, leaving the medications unsecured and unsupervised with the resident, and went back and signed the MOR. 2 minutes later, she returned to the dining room table, and to observe that the medication had been swallowed by the resident. So, goodness gracious, this is something that it could happen anywhere. Yeah, people get busy, but you as the administrator or manager should maybe once a week at least, every day. I mean, try to watch the med pass, make sure they're not doing these things and correct them. It's just they either have forgotten, they weren't trained properly in the first place.
Well, they just also, I think they just start to form bad habits, when they're just busy doing this or that, and they all have their little routines, and so yeah. So
I'm sure this resident was completely capable of handling medication sitting in front of them and taking it on their own. A lot of people are pretty independent still, but that's not the whole point of assisting with medication.
Yeah, you can't say that you observed them take it if you didn't observe them take it.
Right, you signed first. So
yeah.
And you know what else happens in some facilities? Staff will get in the morning and they'll sign for all the medications for the day before they give any of them out. So you should go into your books too and make sure they're not pre-signing for things.
Yeah, we emphasize that that is not good.
No.
So anyway, during an interview, Staff A was informed of the process for assisting residents with self-administration. Staff A stated she signed the medication observation sheet because she already knew what medications resident number 2 would be taking. Staff A acknowledged her errors with assisting resident 2. Okay.
I think that means they just need more staff training, because if a surveyor is watching you, you would like to hope that if they knew the proper way to do it, they would do it properly. So I think definitely more training for this employee.
Well, the thing, one benefit, I like to plug our training business, but if you have the subscription package with us, which is unlimited access to our training, you could just say, make your staff take the medication class every 6 months. And it doesn't cost you anything. You literally just give them the username and password and have them do it. So that's that. Next one is staffing standards. Based on records review, the assisted living facility failed to maintain a written work schedule which reflects its 24-hour staffing pattern for a given period. During a tour of the facility, observations and record review found a staff schedule book located in the work area of the facility. Record review of the staff schedule revealed sheets dated November and December that are incomplete. Further review of the staff schedule book found no schedule on file for January 2015. During an interview with staff A, the administrator stated that she works 24-hour shifts because she resides in the facility. So administrator stated she has one additional employee, staff B, which is a registered nurse who works on weekends and as needed during the week. She stated currently she has no written work schedule because she's the only one and one additional employee working in the facility. But even if you're the only person, then you'd still need a written schedule.
Right. You can just print a calendar off of like Google Calendar, just
Yep.
a monthly calendar, even just buy a calendar and post it up and write the person's
I have to say that this is one of those tags that,
should have website.
yeah.
I mean, but if you look, there's a lot of things wrong. So
Okay, but this tag in particular, literally, okay, there was one for, the ones for January, no, the ones for November and December were incomplete, and then January's didn't have one. Yeah, well, just got to get in the habit of doing it. Okay, but you know what? If you're the only person, you could build your schedule for the year, couldn't you? You could be like January, February, March, April, May, me. So.
Why don't it be you and I'll stay home?
Yeah, okay.
Kidding. Okay.
All right.
But when you read the next tag, it kind of all makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I should have read down further.
This is
so
the big one.
next tag is training and core competency tests. Based on interview and record review, the assisted living facility administrator failed to successfully pass the ALF competency test in topics related to assisted living provided under Section 429. A record review of administrator. Go ahead. Sorry.
So they took the 26-hour core course and they completed it. And they had their certificate. They've continued to do 12 hours of continuing education to keep their core certificate up to date. But what they failed to is they didn't pass the competency test. So really, they're not a licensed administrator, and there's no need to take the 12 hours because it's not, they're not licensed and it's not valid. So they had no proof of it. So make sure if you have a business and you hire an administrator, you get that license. It's like a card. So you have to put that with their certificate and their CEU. So make sure that they've passed the test. You can verify that on the state's website too. You can put in their first and last name.
They were operating for 5 years without an administrator.
I know. Well, no wonder why they had some tags. Okay.
Oh my goodness gracious.
But listen to this one.
Okay.
So they interviewed the administrator, and she said that she took the ALF competency test but did not pass the test. She acknowledged that as the administrator of an ALF, she had to pass the competency test. And the administrator, she stated that the exam was difficult to pass and she will not retake the test.
Oh boy.
So I don't know if it's their, it could be their facility, they check. So whoever's facility this is, they've got to check to make sure they have a licensed administrator.
Listen, there's no way this person's working 24-hour shifts all the time unless they're the owner. It's got to be. It's got to be.
How do they open though? I thought they checked those things.
Maybe it just got through. I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. So maybe it got through the cracks. They got lucky for a few years.
But she's going to have to hire somebody then with an administrator license.
Right.
So I guess she exceeded her 3-month window.
Oh, yeah. The 90 days to pass the exam. The exam is hard, though. It's hard.
Yep.
But
it has a 59% pass rate for a reason, right?
Right. And obviously you can get caught and bad things can happen. So.
All right. So
the next thing, go ahead, records, Clay.
Resident records tag. Based on record review, the assisted living facility failed to ensure 2 out of the 2 residents sampled records who receive assistance with self-administration by unlicensed staff to have completed the informed consent form within their file. So that's
the medication assistance.
The informed consent.
Right. It's an oversight.
Yep. Those are easy to overlook, but that's just something you put in your admission. That is in your admission file, and that's just one thing that one of the first things that you get them to sign. That the the informed consent. So.
And they check for those every time we've been inspected, because
Yep.
it's on their check sheet.
Well,
So-
you know, the whole point of the form is to let families know whether or not a nurse is or is not going to assist with medications. And it explains to them what assistance with self-administered medication is. And in my opinion, it covers you. It makes sure that you have told the family, like, this is what we do. We are assisting with your loved one's medications. It is or it is not overseen by a nurse. And that's an important document that I think in this situation, the state is kind of looking out for you, saying, hey, you want this signed, so that the family can't say, hey, I didn't know that a nurse wasn't going to be administering this. And even if you are the administrator and you're a nurse, and you know, if you're going to say a nurse is going to be doing this all the time, then you better make sure of that. So I got to imagine almost every large community has it. Maybe they have their own custom form because they have med techs, right? But I guess it's overseen by a nurse, but it's
not the nurse doing it.
Okay, record review.
ECC records is next.
Okay.
So they weren't keeping nursing notes for residents who were receiving ECC services.
Okay.
Which is, a big no-no. That's something that's required if you have an ECC facility. It's an extra thing that you have to do for the nursing note. They have a registered nurse that works the weekend shift and as needed throughout the week. And one of their residents is receiving ECC services because they need total assistance with their activities of daily living. They reviewed that resident's record and saw that they had the ECC assessment and ECC service plan, but they didn't continue on with the ECC progress notes. So that's something, if you have a ECC facility, they'll be checking to see that you have all of the components that are required.
Mm-hmm.
They did call the nurse. We had the telephone interview, and she stated that she completes an ECC assessment once a month for resident one, and she was unaware that the ECC nursing progress notes should be completed and kept on file more frequently than once a month. Mm-hmm. So now she knows. Just a little oversight.
Yeah. But these, these are good, good learning lessons exactly for all of us. So.
Right.
Okay, ECC training tag. And based on interview.
Training, yeah.
Yep. So a facility that provides ECC services, this facility failed to acquire a minimum of 4 hours of continued education in ECC that is required every 2 years. So the administrator needs 4 hours of continuing education every 2 years. Okay. So this person, I guess, record review of the facility's employee files, record review of the administrator's file, found 4 hours of initial training dated 2012. Further record review found no documentation indicating 4 hours of continued education in ECC. An interview on January 27th, the administrator stated she does not have the 4 hours of continuing education in ECC. She acknowledged the finding and stated she has no further documentation for review. Okay, so ECC, you need initial and then you need continuing. And, if you're an administrator, you can't lump in your 12 hours with your 4 hours. You technically would need 12 hours as of this recording, right? You need 12 hours every 2 years for administrator, and you will need 4 hours of CEs in ECC training, so you need 16 every 2 years. And the same thing goes if you're a nurse or a CNA. You can't just say, hey, I'm using my nursing CEs for my administrator. Could you get away with it? Probably, possibly. But the truth is they're two separate licenses and they have two separate requirements. Your nursing training requires you to take this much and your administrator training requires you to take this much. And if you have an ECC, you have to add on 4 more hours. Think that's it, Cheryl?
That's it for this one.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one more to do. Let me flip back here. This was 8.8. Let's go back. and go over to 8.6. Okay.
Okay.
Can you take this one for a second?
Well, I can, but FedEx just pulled up too. So.
Okay, go. I'll start. Okay.
All right, hold on.
So basically, this one here, we got tagged 3 tags, and it was on July 30th, 2014. First tag was resident care supervision. Based on record review, the facility failed to maintain a written record of significant changes, illness, which resulted in hospital admission for 1 of the 5 sampled residents. This is a complaint investigation, not a normal. So,
I'm back.
okay, this was a complaint investigation. They failed to record significant changes for somebody who had to go to the hospital.
Right.
During an interview with the administrator, she stated resident 5 was admitted to the hospital. Admitted to the facility. She stated the resident complained of pain the next day. 911 was called, and he was transported to the hospital and did not return to the facility. A record review for resident number 5 revealed there was no documentation in his record that noted what had occurred causing him to be transported to the hospital. There was no documentation to confirm that the facility staff had contacted the healthcare provider and family, informing them that the resident complained of pain and was transported to the hospital. During the interview with the administrator, she confirmed that there was no documentation of the significant change, that the family and healthcare provider was contacted. So basically, this would have been right in the observation log saying, called 911, resident complained of pain, called the family or healthcare provider.
Right. And everything needs a beginning and an end, sometimes a middle. So
right.
You can't just say the resident, we called 911 and resident was sent to the hospital. You need to put a follow-up of what happened or close it out that, they won't be returning to the facility, called family, called primary care physician. What else did you do? You never get in trouble for over-documenting.
And then once you realize that this person's not coming back for whatever reason, that's when you can close it and say resident was been moved to another facility or whatever happened.
Right. Not appropriate for readmission.
Yeah, those open-ended things will just say what happened.
Right. So yes, you never get in trouble for over-documenting, just under-documenting. How about that?
Okay. But they don't want to know if Susie Q sneezed and.
No, remember we had one caregiver that.
Yeah, we're like, okay, go easy with the observations here. So step back.
No, remember what's but resident A really liked tomato soup, so I served them tomato soup today, and they really enjoyed it. Oh my gosh, it was when we first opened. But yeah, she was so nice, but we had to take her off observation log duty.
Okay.
And,
all right. Okay. So they got tagged for records. Based on record review and interview with facility, failed to ensure they maintain an up-to-date admission and discharge log. Easy to do, easy to overlook sometimes, I guess. During an interview, facility supervisor was revealed the resident 3 and 4 both resided at the facility. She explained that they resided at the facility from these dates and according to the medication observation record. So they saw it in the medication observation record. They went to the admission log and they were not listed. So she stated that resident 3 and 4 were only at the facility for a short period and she did not consider them as being admitted. But according to this, they were from April 28th, so 1 week.
Right. Well, that's an admission for sure.
It's an admission. I guess.
I mean, unless you want to do it as respite, but you still have to log it.
Even an admission, it's still an admission. You still have to do an admission.
Right. Exactly.
So, you're not going to win that argument, right?
Nope.
They're living in your facility.
You should audit. You should audit your admission discharge log. Make sure that it's up, because that's one of the first things they ask for when they come for inspection too. Is they match your census to your admission discharge log.
Okay. Class. That's a class what? 4 violation. Okay. Based on record, another tag for resident records. 3 of the 5 sampled residents they failed to provide them with a contract before or at the time of admission. So they revealed that their records did not contain a resident contract.
That's a big no-no.
During an interview with the administrator, so I think that's. Do you think that's the same people? She stated she did not consider resident 3, 4, and 5 as being admitted to the facility because they only resided at the facility for a short time and contracts were not completed. So even if you do respite, I mean, have a respite contract. I mean, you know, just do it.
Something. Actually, it was just said only 3 and 4 weren't listed, so 5. It's just maybe they just, yeah.
5 did not have a contract, right?
They just don't have a contract. Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, if you get a nice checklist going of what you need and what you don't need in each file, if, you know, for each admission, and maybe that would help somebody like this to have a nice visual checklist and they can check things off as they get them. That's what we have.
I mean, when I print my admission log, my admission package, first page is a checklist, and I just do that checklist. And really, I mean, the admission starts before the admission. You know, getting that 1823, we all know how important that is. You can't just be like, okay, we have the admission. Do you have an 1823? No, that starts the week before, 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, when they do the tour, and you say, this is what I need on admission. Oh, you're coming on Tuesday? These are the things that you need to bring. Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a DNR? Do you have I need that 1823. Do not come without it. Don't only focus on the check. I mean, you need these documents.
Paperwork.
So, yeah. All right.
And then give the family a checklist too.
Yep.
They're usually pretty good. You know,
They do.
Just let them know what you need, and they'll get it for you because they're ready to get their loved ones settled.
Yep. And it's easier for them if it's all done. They move in and it's all taken care of. So,
exactly.
I guess, you know, another thing too that is the hardest thing on admissions, and you know, you all probably deal with it, is the medication. I mean, it's a jumbled mess. Things, you get the 1823, it doesn't match the medications that they bring. Everything is a total mess. A lot of things can be prevented beforehand if you meet them before the admission and say, hey, come on in, bring with you these documents, come on in, let's do it ahead of time. Don't show up with your mom and all her furniture and all this stuff and their medications. Bring it in ahead of time. Let me create the MOR. Let me start building their file. You can take a look at the contract, take it home. Those kind of move-ins will help you prevent a lot of errors.
And sometimes you find things when they bring the medication that, you know, wasn't disclosed, and maybe you can't have that in your facility because you have unlicensed personnel.
Right.
Maybe you need to get the parameters removed.
Ativan for,
you
know, you told me there's, oh yeah, Dad just gets a little anxious at dinner time. Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe I need to come over and see him at dinner time, you know, because, or what is this? What is this gel that you brought? What is this? What is this cream that I have to rub on to calm them down? So those are little things. Anyway, this has been a long webinar. I hope it's helped. Cheryl, I thank you again for taking time out.
Maybe I'll get a minute to go outside and enjoy the cool air you've been talking about.
I'm a slave driver.
You're a slave driver.
You start working on dinner, go pick up son. Okay.
Goodbye.
All right, guys. Thank you.